Alright, thought I'd play some Skull the Demon Slayer today. Or not Demon Slayer, but Hero Slayer. A little bit too much stylish action games lately. I was given a review key for this back when it came out, but I didn't play it much because the game was too long for my tastes. They actually just put out a major update, which not only changes a lot of the core gameplay mechanics and the flow of the game, it also added the prisoner from Dead Cells. They did like a kind of a secret crossover. He is a unique class Skull. I've only gotten him once. I have not finished this game yet. This update that they just put in is kind of a bit of a source of debate, basically, because the game is easier in some ways and it's harder in some ways, mostly because there's far less health drops. A lot of the enemies have more health. Some of them are more annoying too. I got very close to the end of my last run. I was able to get a lot of progression stuff in here. I believe I got some more magic attack. I almost maxed physical attack. Got the dash, invincible dash. Got myself some more health too. So I don't think I'll do an overview for this game because I don't really know the game that well. I'm just gonna play, and you guys can make your own choice, I guess. I think I'm gonna get another item instead of another skull because the skulls can get kind of power creeped out. Pixel art in this game is really beautiful. Combat's kind of serviceable. It's not the best. It's not bad either. It's just kind of spammy. There aren't enough moves. Probably the thing I don't like about it the most. So what they changed is they made the overall pace of the game a lot faster. They also changed these reward doors. So the green one means that you'll get a skull. Skulls are basically like your extra characters or movesets. And you can have two at once, so you can switch between them at any time as long as there's no cooldown. There are various classes of skulls. And the best ones used to be like almost impossible to get at the beginning, but now they've made it so that you can get powerful faster. A lot of the common skulls, like the ones I'm using right now, are pretty bad, so it's nice that they allow you to kind of diversify your build a lot sooner than they did before. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, sure, I'll take that. Werewolf's decent. Not the best start, but not terrible either. I have it on rookie mode right now because the health drops are like way too scarce now. You really don't get them that often. It's been a very common complaint, a lot of the feedback they're getting. I'm sure they'll find a good sweet spot. Right now, it feels really hard to recover from a mistake or something like a boss battle. Because the health drops used to give 10% health, now they only give a flat rate of 10 HP, which is not much. I'm gonna try to get some better skulls and worry about items later. some pretty crappy choices. This is the warrior. It's not that great either. Probably better than this guy, but kind of slow. One thing I don't like about this game is that the cooldown on the dash is like really long. So sometimes you'll dodge an attack properly and you can't dash again because the character's too slow. And I think they could definitely do to make this a little bit more responsive. Not gonna lie, these are some pretty crappy choices. You actually can get like you can get like unique tier skulls by this point. What's the quintessence I got? The thing that feels odd about this game is a lot of damage feels like borderline unavoidable, and because they nerfed how much health you get from health drops, it feels like you can't always really recover from mistakes. Like certain combinations of enemies can feel like you really don't have a lot of control. I'm getting like the worst possible choices. Probably better than what I have, but what does that do? They also increased how many passive items you can have now, which is nice. Crap. what I'm talking about here. Like, I actually successfully dodged the archer, or the sniper, and then I get hit anyway because the recovery on the dash is so long. I don't think it was that much of a problem before. It's just kind of amplified by the fact that there's so few health drops, and they really don't heal much of anything. They heal about one hit worth, for the most part, especially if you're not playing on rookie mode. Boss fights towards the end of the game feel like a bit of a mess. The humanoid enemies that you fight, they have like tons of health, which is kind of the problem, and they also there'll be like 2 or 3 of them at once, which doesn't feel completely fair to me. Like, that boss is manageable because everything is really heavily telegraphed. Then you get the humanoid bosses. It's not like their stuff's not telegraphed, it's just that when you fight like 2 or 3 of them at once, it feels like you can't always really dodge the attacks. Which for a game like this, which is supposed to be skill-based, doesn't always feel fair. See how much damage I'm taking and how little control I have over it. They gave these enemies more health too, from what I understand. These maids put the ones from Castlevania Aria of Sorrow to shame, that's for sure. This is already kind of a bad run, to be honest. I have, like, nothing. I don't really have any good items or good skulls. So for all that, I got one 10 HP heal, which is basically nothing. It's not enough for how much damage you take, and how much of it you don't feel like you have a lot of direct control over. Movement in this game feels quite good. I think that's one of its strongest suits. How good it feels to move. It's just having so little control over when and how you take damage, and not being able to recover is kind of what's the issue, if you ask me. I don't think anything's really going to help at this point. I mostly just need better skulls. I'm still running with pretty crappy ones. I've been in every green room I can so far, and I've got nothing above rare. Uniques and legendaries are pretty much better in every way from what I've seen. Alright, another chance at the Skull room. I don't expect this run to go far unless I get some really good skulls within the next few rooms. Really not giving me much to work with. Warrior again, which is not what I want. Too slow. So you're gonna see a lot of BS here. I didn't get any good skulls, so that's gonna make things worse. Well, there's some Skull gameplay. This patch is kind of a mixed bag. I like how much faster the game is. The run length of this was a little bit too long for my tastes. Also, back when I played it was like the initial version of the game. You couldn't really get any good skulls until I think you were like halfway through, pretty much by like the second biome or set of levels. It was more common to get good stuff, but problem with that, I think there's only 3 or 4 levels right now, so you ran out of interesting stuff to run with pretty quickly. Right now, it's mostly just how much more health the enemies have and how little healing you get to compensate for it. The game feels in kind of an odd place right now. It's like they did make it a lot faster, which I definitely like. I like faster-paced roguelikes where there's not really a lot of personal investment into the runs because they're so short. That was one of the things I really liked about 20XX and Wizard of Legend. Neither of those games were very rarely over half an hour, maybe 30-40 minutes if you were going like really slow when you tried to optimize like every level and get it redrop and everything. But even then, it was never like over an hour. And in this game, it felt like it was quite long. The last run I did off camera, I got towards the end and I was only like 35 minutes in. I like how they kind of allow you to choose what reward you want and also kind of speed up the pace of the game. I just feel like the balancing is a little bit off. Feels like if you don't get unique or legendary skulls pretty early on, you're going to have a really hard time, and you have so much less options. Like this base skull here, the main character's basic design, he has 2 moves. When you have unique and legendary skulls, they have two moves. All the other ones only have one. So not only is that less options, it's also less to do when you have cooldown. When you have two things, it greatly increases how much damage and how much utility you have. A lot of the other skulls below that class don't have that. Pretty much none of them do. I hope that they'll iron it out. A lot of people have been complaining about the lack of health drops and the how much they nerfed them. They just changed it to a flat 10 HP instead of a 10% drop, which I think would have made things a lot better. I don't know how much I'll play this. I'm kind of giving it a chance right now. It feels better than it did. It's just like apparently this patch is kind of experimental, so I guess they want to see how things tick. I'm sure the faster pace and the ability to get stronger skulls early on will probably carry over, but I think things like the balancing, like just how hard it is to recover from mistakes and things like that, I think those are things that they will probably work on because it's pretty much unanimous that those things are not in a good spot right now. All right, so I've got room, I got money for one upgrade. I think I'm just going to give myself more HP. Seems like the best thing to do right now. Alright, I'll catch you guys tomorrow. I might do another run of this. I might actually stream some runs too. KOF All-Stars on maintenance right now. Also PSO2. I just haven't really felt like gaming much today. It kind of just was an off day for me. I haven't hit up any of the new emergency quests yet, so maybe I'll fit some of this in maybe later this week. There wasn't really much anything of interest at New Game Plus Expo for me. The only two things I saw was East 9 and Curse of the Moon 2. I'll be getting both of those games when they come out. But the summer for me, I think this is the worst summer drought I've ever had. There really isn't anything interesting going on right now. So I'm glad I've got some early access games like this that are still being actively updated that I can work on and play in the meantime. Service games too. I tried out some new service games today. So thanks for understanding. Also, I'm dealing with pretty significant reduction in income because I don't have my kitty sitting job anymore. My neighbor came back home and they're able to take care of the cats by themselves for the most part. I still get paid, but it's very sparingly. It's only like once a month and for smaller amounts. So if you guys want to donate and or help me out on Patreon, I would greatly appreciate that. I have relied on that extra kitty sitting money to fund a lot of the projects over the past year. I was doing that job for over a year. So suddenly not having that has been kind of hard for me. I'm pretty much down to no cash right now. So with that said, I will see you guys tomorrow.